There's a kind of pain that many people over 60 never dare to name. It's not illness, it's not loss. It's the quiet, sinking feeling that you're slowly becoming invisible. People are still polite. They still smile out of courtesy. But the way they look at you, it's no longer the same. They listen less. They call less. And worst of all, you begin to feel like your presence or absence makes no real difference. If you've ever walked out of a room and felt the silence behind you was somehow more comfortable, if you've ever told a story and watched people give a polite smile, then look away. If you've ever felt like your very presence was inconvenient to others, you're not alone. Many older adults are going through exactly that. But no one tells them why. No one says directly, there are small habits quietly pushing people away. Not because you're unkind, not because you're unlovable, but because some behaviors silently send the wrong message, that you no longer care, that you're no longer connected, that you've stopped trying to understand the world around you. And today, we're going to talk about those things, honestly, but with deep compassion. 14 habits in old age that slowly drive people away. No one talks about them, but everyone feels them. This isn't a video to judge you, it's a mirror for you to gently look into with honesty and care. Because it's never too late to change, and the connection you long for might only be one small shift away. If you're watching this, I hope you'll stay until the end, because by the time it's over, you'll know exactly how to keep the relationships around you warm, close, and as meaningful as you deserve. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you won't miss the next heartfelt message from Senior Rise. Now, let's begin. Habit 1. Neglecting personal hygiene. Sometimes the distance between us and others doesn't begin with something dramatic. It starts with a shirt that hasn't been changed, uncombed hair, a faint odor, just enough to make someone take a small step back. Someone once said, "I don't need to look good for anyone anymore." And it's true. At this age, we no longer have anything to prove to the world. But maybe the real question isn't, who am I trying to look good for? It's this: am I still taking care of myself, for me, or have I quietly given up without even noticing? Personal hygiene isn't just about being clean. It's one of the ways we tell the world, I'm still here. I still have self-respect. I still love myself. But as age brings fatigue, changing clothes becomes a hassle. Washing your hair feels like a chore. And slowly, we wear yesterday's clothes, and the day before that. We leave tangled hair as it is, let nails grow longer than we used to, and we tell ourselves no one notices anyway. But they do. Family notices, neighbors notice, even the grandkids notice. They don't say anything. They simply stop hugging as often. They sit a little farther away. They visit less. Not because they don't love you, but because they don't know how to handle the quiet sorrow of watching someone let themselves go. Have you ever caught someone looking at you with warmth, but also a bit of sadness, and you couldn't quite explain why? Maybe that look was from someone who loves you, grieving that you no longer love yourself the way you used to. Have you ever felt that before? Sometimes just a clean shirt, a neat hand, or a gentle touch of fragrance is enough to send a completely different message. I'm still here, I still care about myself, and I care about you too. And when you do it for you, people will naturally be drawn closer. Not because you're trying, but because you're radiating life. Habit 2. Wearing clothes that don't fit or are outdated. There's a subtle kind of giving up. No smell, no sound, no one names it. But it stares back at us in the mirror every morning, in the way we dress. At first, it's all about comfort. These pants are roomy and familiar. That pair of shoes is worn, but my feet are used to them. That sweater's a bit old, but it still works, right? But then one day, someone looks at you, not because you stand out, but because you look like you've stopped noticing. It's not that you're no longer beautiful, it's that the clothes you choose, the hairstyle you keep, the colors you wear, no longer reflect who you are today. Can you remember the last time you picked out something new to wear? Not because you had somewhere to go, but just because you felt like you deserved it. Do you still notice the little things, like a scarf that brightens your face, a pair of shoes that make you walk with more confidence, or a color that makes you feel just a little younger? Some might say, "I'm old now, why bother dressing up?" But that's exactly the point. When you stop caring about your appearance, others quietly assume you've stopped caring about what's inside too. You may say, "As long as I feel comfortable, that's all that matters." But what the world perceives is the absence of your presence. You don't need to dress like the younger generation. You don't need to chase trends, but a clean, fresh, well-fitting outfit is one simple way to tell the world, "I'm still living. I still respect myself." Have you ever seen an older person who's dressed neatly with care and just radiates something special and thought, "This person has a presence"? It's not about wealth. It's not about status. It's just that they are still showing up with quiet dignity, and that presence makes others want to be near. Habit 3. Moving without awareness of your surroundings. There's something that changes with age, but it's hard to notice. Our own pace of movement. It's no longer as quick, no longer as fluid as it once was. And there's nothing to be ashamed of in that. But the issue isn't speed. It's the lack of awareness of our surroundings and others when we begin to unconsciously cause discomfort without realizing it. Have you ever seen someone blocking the supermarket aisle, their cart turned sideways, completely unaware, or someone who suddenly stops in a crowded hallway without warning, or unknowingly blocks a passage at church, in an airport, or at a cafe? Most people won't say anything. They'll just glance your way, step quietly to the side. But that little discomfort adds up into an impression. It's a bit tiring to walk with this person, not because you're trying to be a burden, but because your focus has narrowed down to just yourself, what you need, how tired your legs are, what you're thinking. And in doing so, you forget that you're still living among others. Have you ever walked with someone and felt the need to manage their steps, afraid they might bump into someone, or feeling secondhand embarrassment? Chances are, someone has quietly felt that way when walking beside you too. Slowing down isn't the problem. Moving carefully is a virtue, but do it with awareness, with grace. Stay to one side of the path. Step aside when stopping. Give way when needed. These little acts are what form the quiet dignity and gentleness that others feel, even if they don't say a word. And you know what? No one expects you to be perfect. They just want to see that you're still paying attention. Have you ever noticed how your movement affects others? If not, maybe this is the perfect time to begin again, gently. Feel free to leave a comment if this has happened to you. Habit 4. Pretending to be weak. Becoming dependent, even when you're still capable. There's a kind of fatigue that doesn't come from the body. It comes from the mind. From the quiet thought, it's faster if someone else does it. It starts small. Can you open this lid for me? Can you fill out this form for me? Can you check that for me? I don't understand this stuff. Then, little by little, it becomes a pattern. And at some point, even you don't know if you really need help or if you've simply become used to asking. Sounds familiar? When you do this, people will still help. They'll smile, they'll say, "It's okay, let me do it." But inside, they start to feel tired, not from the work itself, but from the sense that they're carrying someone who's still capable of walking on their own. And even more quietly, you start believing that you really can't do it anymore. Every time you choose not to try, your belief in yourself slowly fades, until one day you find yourself struggling to use a TV remote as if you've never held one before, or standing in your own kitchen, feeling like a stranger in the house you've lived in for years. This kind of dependency isn't laziness. It often comes from a quiet fear. A fear of doing it wrong, a fear of being too slow, a fear of others seeing that you're not as sharp as before. But here's the truth. No one expects you to be flawless. They just want to see you try. Your children and grandchildren don't need you to be perfect. But when they see you carry a small bag on your own, look up how to use a device, try cooking a new recipe, they feel proud. They see that your spirit is still alive, that your spark is still there, and that inspires them far more than you might ever know. Habit 5. Interrupting or dominating conversations. There's a very natural desire that comes with age to be heard. After so many years of living, of experiencing, of learning, we know we have something to say, something to pass on, something to protect, to remind, to advise. But then, during a simple conversation with friends or younger family members, we begin to interrupt. We cut people off. We finish their sentences. In a world where everyone is so busy, it's often the elderly who keep the fire of connection alive, because they have time, they have the gift of listening, and they have hearts big enough to hold the things others forget. Habit 5. Living with purpose. Rediscovering your daily role. At a small community library in the suburbs of Seattle, there's an elderly man with silver hair and half-rimmed glasses who can be found every Wednesday afternoon reading stories to a group of children. His name is Frank. He's 78 years old and retired long ago after decades working as an engineer. No salary, no fancy retirement benefits. Yet every day, he wakes up at 6 a.m., makes his coffee, waters his plants, and picks out a storybook for that week's reading. "The kids don't care what I used to do for a living," he chuckles. "They just need me to show up, on time, with a voice that feels warm." At some point in life, when work stops and children grow up, life can begin to feel vague. No one calls you boss anymore. No one needs your signature, your decision, or your leadership. And in that silence, many begin to wonder, do I still matter? But those who live joyfully into their later years understand something important. Your new role doesn't have to be big. It can be small, planting vegetables for a neighbor, knitting scarves for a care home, teaching your grandchild an old family recipe, or simply sitting beside someone who's feeling low. Purpose doesn't need to be grand. It just needs to be enough to make you want to get out of bed in the morning. Not to earn money, but to give value in your own quiet way. Are you doing something in anything that makes you feel useful? Even if it's just tending to a potted orchid on your porch or helping your grandchild with their homework. Remember, when you feel useful, you never feel past your time. And if you haven't found that yet, start by asking yourself, what did I used to enjoy? What was I good at? Might someone out there need that now? You might be surprised how many people out there need exactly what you have to offer. Through connection, gratitude, and enthusiasm, the purpose of a senior's life doesn't disappear. It deepens, because purpose at this stage is no longer about building a career. It's about passing on meaning. Habit 6. Caring for your health, the foundation of all joy. Mrs. Lorraine lives in the rural countryside of southern Australia, in a small house beside a vineyard. At 76, she doesn't go to the gym, doesn't follow any complex diet, and never takes expensive supplements. But everyone agrees she's remarkably healthy. Every morning, she walks around her garden with a small bamboo broom, gently sweeping the patio while taking deep, steady breaths. Her breakfast: a few slices of toast, a boiled egg, and a glass of warm water with lemon. In the afternoons, she knits or waters her plants. She rarely watches TV for long and always goes to bed early. "I don't keep myself healthy just to live longer," she smiles. "I stay healthy so that every day I live is worth living." And truly, health isn't about living forever. It's about living fully. A wealthy person in poor health may find each day dragging on, but someone with little money and good health, they often find each day to be a gift. Have you noticed this too? When asked what they wish for, many older adults don't say, "I wish I'd won the lottery." They say, "I wish my back didn't hurt. I wish I could walk without getting tired. I wish I could sleep through the night." Health doesn't require expensive pills. It begins with small, consistent things. Drinking enough water, eating home-cooked meals instead of processed food, walking instead of driving for short errands, turning off the TV early and going to bed on time, and most of all, keeping the mind calm and the heart light. What small thing are you doing each day to care for your health? Share it in the comments. Your simple tip might help someone else breathe a little easier today. Because sometimes all it takes is a gentle reminder. Get up and take a 10-minute walk. And that can shift the rhythm of your entire day. And if today you're still breathing steadily, still able to walk, still able to brew a cup of tea and hear birdsong through your window, be grateful. Because somewhere out there, someone is wishing they could do just that. One more time. Habit 7. Gratitude. Happiness begins with a heart that whispers thank you. There's something quietly profound about people who grow older and still live joyfully. They're not the ones who have the most, they're the ones who are most grateful. I once met an elderly gentleman named Harold, living in the state of Vermont. Every morning, he would sit by the window with a small cup of coffee in his hand and whisper 3 simple words: "Thank you, life." Thankful for still being able to see the sunlight filtering through the trees. Thankful that his legs could still carry him to the window this morning. Thankful for his wife, who had passed away 8 years earlier, but had left behind handwritten letters he still hadn't finished reading. No one taught him to be grateful. He just practiced the habit of noticing what was still present, rather than what had been lost. Have you ever asked yourself, what do I still have to be thankful for in this life? If you can still breathe, still enjoy a meal, still hear the sound of an old song, still think of someone with love, then you still have so much. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, but it gently reminds us that alongside all that's gone, something worthy of appreciation still remains. When you begin your day with a grateful heart, you'll feel less need to buy more, to chase more, to fix everything. Sometimes it's enough to just sit quietly, close your eyes, and whisper to yourself, "Thank you for the simple fact that I'm still here." What are you grateful for today? Even something very small, like the meow of your cat in the morning or the scent of a freshly washed towel. Leave it in the comments below, not to boast, but to remind yourself, I am not lacking, I am not empty, I am full in this very moment. Gratitude is the thread that ties all the previous habits together, because you cannot feel contentment without being grateful. You cannot embrace simplicity without seeing the beauty in little things. You cannot heal emotionally without appreciating what still remains. You cannot love others or find purpose without pausing to recognize the quiet worth in what surrounds you. And you don't need to be wealthy to feel gratitude. You just need to take a few seconds each day to remind yourself, I am alive, I still love, and that is enough. If you're still here, listening all the way to the final moments of this video, there's something I want you to know before anything else. You haven't given up. You haven't given up on the life you still have. You haven't given up on the values the world may have forgotten. And most importantly, you haven't given up on your own heart. Together, we've walked through 7 habits. None of them require wealth, youth, or perfect health. They only ask for awareness and a heart big enough to carry them through daily life. From contentment, learning to pause and appreciate what we already have, to simple living, finding joy in the smallest, quietest things, to nurturing emotional resilience, learning to rise again after loss, and to heal from within, to building connection where the heart finds warmth in human relationships, to discovering purpose where even a small reason to get up in the morning adds deep meaning to your day, to protecting your health because joy can't be complete without physical well-being, and finally, to gratitude, the habit that gathers all the others into one powerful life lesson. You see, true happiness has never come from the size of your wallet. It comes from how you live with what you already have, and who you become when there's nothing left to prove. I invite you to ask yourself a simple question. What am I living for? And how deeply have I loved this life? If your answer isn't clear yet, that's okay, because the very act of asking that question means you're still living with meaning. Tomorrow, you may still worry about utility bills, your back pain, or a doctor's appointment. But if you carry these 7 habits with you, you won't go through those days aimlessly anymore. You'll walk with intention, with light from within. And maybe, just maybe, you'll become the person that someone else is quietly learning from. If today's video touched something in your heart, feel free to leave a comment, even just a few words like, I'm still here. Because that simple message won't just encourage me, it might also give strength to another senior reading alongside you. You can also share this video with a friend, maybe an old acquaintance you haven't spoken to in years, or the neighbor you always wave to in the morning. And if you'd like to continue this journey with Senior Rise, click subscribe so that each week you'll have a gentle voice, a quiet reminder, a soft hand reaching through the screen to walk beside you. Thank you for living, for listening, and for believing that a life without much money can still be a life rich in love, meaning, and quiet pride. But there's a fine line between wisdom gained from experience and stubbornness born from refusing to change. When old beliefs become a shirt that no longer fits, they stop keeping us warm. Instead, they start to restrict us. We may have once believed men shouldn't show weakness, or thought young people these days just want everything handed to them, or firmly declared things were better in the old days. Those beliefs may have been true for a time in a different context. But when the world evolves, are we willing to open our hearts and look again? Sometimes the very things that once made us strong are the same things that now keep us rigid and alone. People don't want to argue. They simply step away quietly, because they know nothing they say will change your mind. They see a wall built from, "I already know, I have been through it, and don't try to teach me." And the sad truth is, that wall doesn't just keep others out, it also keeps us from stepping out. Growing old isn't what makes someone hard to be around. It's the refusal to keep learning, to stay curious, to stay open. You can hold on to your core values, but don't let them blind you to the beauty of what's still unfolding. Habit 12. Ignoring modern etiquette. There are things that were once seen as polite that now feel out of place. A direct question that once showed honesty might now be perceived as rude. A natural gesture from years past might be viewed today as intrusive or insensitive. For example, asking a woman, "How old are you now?" Commenting on someone's appearance, "You've gotten so skinny lately," or saying out loud in front of others, "That girl's outfit looks ridiculous." Back then, these words may have been meant as care, but today they're often seen as crossing personal boundaries. Politeness is no longer about following rigid social scripts. It's about being emotionally aware, sensitive, and respectful in both what we say and how we say it. A slight nod before asking a question, a gentle "excuse me" when accidentally interrupting, a pause to truly listen before responding. These may seem small, but they are powerful signals that we're still engaged in the world around us. No one expects older adults to keep up with every trend, but people do hope to feel that you're still trying, still learning, still listening, still adapting. That kind of respect doesn't come from age, titles, or experience, but from how we choose to adjust ourselves so others don't feel uncomfortable around us. Habit 13. Oversharing health issues. Health is a sensitive topic, and for many older adults, it becomes the center of their days, their thoughts, their routines, their worries. From a headache the night before, to an upcoming doctor's appointment, from a new prescription change to a strange sensation in the left hand. Suddenly, these details become the main subject in every conversation. And truthfully, no one blames you for sharing. We all need to be heard. We all need empathy. But when every interaction revolves around illness, discomfort, and worry, it becomes draining for those listening. They don't know what else to say. They don't want to pretend to comfort you, and eventually, they begin to pull away. Not because they're uncaring, but because they feel overwhelmed by repeated negativity. Sharing is healthy, but like all things, it requires balance. A balance between expressing and holding back, between your need to be heard and their capacity to receive. Try asking yourself, will this story make the other person feel closer to me or weighed down by me? Let your health stories spark hope, not feel like another complaint, but rather a journey you're walking through with strength and resilience. And sometimes, just being silent and listening to someone else first is how healing begins, for both of you. Habit 14. Refusing to admit fault. Blaming it all on age. "Oh, I'm old now. I get confused sometimes. At this age, who can even remember things? I'm too old to be of any use anyway." At first, it sounds harmless, just light-hearted remarks, gentle ways to brush off small mistakes. But look a little deeper, and you might see a more troubling pattern. When age becomes a shield to avoid responsibility, over time, people stop expecting things from you. Worse yet, you stop expecting things from yourself. You no longer try to learn new things. You stop fixing small errors. You avoid admitting your faults because blaming age feels easier, even familiar. And here's the strange part. The more we blame aging, the older we actually become. Not because our bodies are failing, but because our minds give up trying. It's true. Aging brings limitations. It slows us down, physically and sometimes mentally. But it never takes away one thing: the power to choose how we respond. A sincere apology, no matter how small, can heal. Owning a mistake can create lasting respect. Younger people won't distance themselves because you're old, but they may step away quietly if they feel this. You always place blame, but never take responsibility, and you deserve better than that. You deserve to be listened to be trusted, not because you never made mistakes, but because you have the courage to face what went wrong and grow from it. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "I'm too old to do that"? Next time, try this instead. I'll give it a try, just a little slower, and watch how differently people look at you. You've just walked through a journey that wasn't easy. 14 habits. They may seem small, but each one has the power to quietly push others away and slowly make you forget who you once were. We didn't share these things to criticize you, and certainly not to make you feel hurt or ashamed. We shared them for someone out there, someone who might be feeling silently lonely or misunderstood, to finally see the real reason behind it all. Because sometimes to be loved, you don't have to be perfect. You just need the courage to look inward and whisper, "Maybe I can change, just a little, for others and for myself." Aging isn't the time to give up on yourself. It's a new season, one where you have more time to live truthfully, to adjust, to heal. But no one can truly enter that new season while still clinging to old behaviors. If something in this video made you recognize a part of yourself, please know this: you are not alone. We've all lost rhythm at some point. We've all experienced disconnection, but all it takes is one small step to begin again. And the world around you will slowly shift too. And if you're still here, reading these final words, I want to thank you. Thank you for not turning away from what matters. Thank you for still wanting to understand yourself. And thank you for choosing, once again, to keep reaching out. If there's a moment in your life when you felt like you grew old in someone else's eyes, please share it in the comments, because maybe just one sentence from you could become a light for someone feeling lost right now. And if this video touched something deep inside you, click subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Not for the algorithm, but because you deserve to be gently reminded of what truly matters, the things that busy life often makes us forget.